You're listening to the Rodney Anderson Radio Show, right here on 1190 AM.
All right, we're back to the show. Thanks, everybody, for being with us today. 1-800-EXPRESS is our number, 1-800-397-7377. We have a great show planned for you today. One of the customer service goddesses from New York will be joining us. Gail Goodman will be joining us today. She is part of a book called Pure Wealth, 26 Ways to Crazy Profitability. And this is going to be fantastic because she's one of the 26 authors in there. Nice. And the book is launching soon at a special seminar event. Okay. And Gail is fantastic. We had her on our show one time, and she
very cool, too.
Kind of like tell it what it is, Gail.
I like that.
Yeah, she's fantastic. We have a very special guest today from New York. And she is fantastic. She's been on the show, and she is a training expert in customer service. So, and one of the things that we love about Gail is we love her honesty.
Yes, that was so refreshing last time to hear someone come on and just tell it.
Just tell it like it is, Gail. That's what we're going to call her. Hey, Gail, do you know what day it is? No, we got it. We got music for the day. What day is it?
Let's get it started. Keep everybody ready.
So there is a big event in Dallas this weekend.
Well, what you got?
And Gail is part of this event. There's a book that just recently was launched, Pure Wealth, 26 Ways to Crazy Profitability, and Gail is one of the authors in the book. Gail, tell us a little bit about your chapter in your book, and tell us a little bit about the book.
Well, the book is about how women in business, though it's for everybody, can think about ways that they can be more profitable, but not in the traditional how to do the math ways. There's other factors that contribute to your profitability or lack thereof, and each of these 26 authors is an expert in a different topic. I'm a communications expert, so my chapter is on women and words and how women in business may not be aware that they might be talking in girl talk when they're talking to boys or men, as they like to be called. And when you're communicating with a male prospect, client, vendor, or somebody you're negotiating with, you may not be getting what you want out of that interaction if you don't realize that men and women talk differently, and you may have to adjust your language.
Well, and everyone knows that men and women communicate so much differently. Mm-hmm. But you talk about how this can hurt sometimes in the book, about how it can hurt a woman's business. Why is this?
Because women, when they get super relaxed with each other, get into what I call girl talk and girl speak. They use feminine words that men don't relate to, like we chat. You guys don't do that. Mm-hmm. And they tend to use a lot more words than men, which everybody knows women babble and men go, uh-huh. But what happens is when you're trying to... that hit a nerve.
No, yeah, it's true.
It is true.
Yeah. Men use sentences, women use paragraphs.
No, when men grunt. Didn't you see Tim Allen? Remember Tim Allen?
Oh, yeah.
Tim Allen
Home
had...
Improvement?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm going to talk about that tomorrow in my
Rob, you do that well.
Thanks. A lot of practice.
Yeah.
You have
so men grunt and women use what?
Well, men grunt and women use paragraphs and talk in novels. They can't do that.
You're exactly right.
Yeah, they have to compress what they want to say. They have to use better words. They have to be more direct. And sometimes women will cushion something that is direct with words like, I'm sorry, because they're worried about the directness being perceived of as aggressive, bossy, or pushy.
I got some of the most amazing women that work up here. They've been with me. Carolyn's been with me 16 years. Susie's been with me 11 years. Gail, my receptionist, been with me 21 to almost 22 years. Director of First Impressions, we call. And so when you see women in the workforce out there, how is it strange to see women at companies for so long? Are you seeing them grow in business and want new jobs?
I think women going into their own business is a product of a lot of things. I would blame it, though I'm not an expert on American economics, I would blame it on the glass ceiling in 2008. That a lot of people went into business for themselves, but being an entrepreneur is not as easy as it looks, because the most important thing is, what is somebody going to pay you to do or give to them? So whether it's a product or a service, you have to get other people to pay you. So it has to be priced properly. You have to know how to brand yourself. All of these things are things that we talk about. We have a branding expert in our book as well. I think that people move into business for themselves for a sense of control over their own destiny, feeling like, why should I be worth only $60,000 a year when I think I'm worth more than that? because the sky's the limit when it's your business. The problem is all of the expenses are yours too.
Yeah, and some of those things, one of the things in your book, you talk specific ideas about what you share with the women in order to communicate better with men. And I'm sure in your book this isn't just about in the workplace. People can use this in their home life because so many times, I mean, we see people all the time that they think that buying a house is going to fix their issues, their communication issues.
That's very close to my family life situation where somebody in my family bought a house trying to fix a not in great shape marriage.
Yeah, and otherwise they go and have kids, or they do all these things, and just to do that. So, what are some specific ideas that you can share with women in order to communicate a little bit better with men?
The first thing I think most women should do is role play with a friend, and if they can get a male friend, it's even better. To communicate ideas, like if you have a sales presentation, to do it with a male friend, to see how it comes across, because there's two parts to communicating. One is the actual words and inflection. The other is your body language. And sometimes women don't realize that some of the things that they do are misinterpreted by men. For example, we were just talking about this the other day. Women nod at each other as a way of saying, I hear you, I'm listening. Men see them nodding and think they're saying, I'm agreeing. That's a really big deal. So it doesn't matter what the verbiage is. When your body language is saying, absolutely, I'm agreeing with you, right on, then they're not actually saying that. Women get in a bungle in their communication. That's just one perfect example.
Why do women gossip more than men?
Women talk more than men in general. Gossip is just one variable because thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago there were cavemen and women, and the cavemen went out hunting. And the first rule of hunting is what? No talking.
We don't talk about Fight Club. Same Fight Club rules.
Don't talk, because then our dinner is going to run away.
Right.
Women sat around a campfire. They gathered the berries and the plants, and they sat in a circle. And what do you do in a circle? You talk.
So is this how this all started?
That's how it all started.
You know how Rob and I talk? We communicate. Rob, what's up?
What's up?
What's up?
That's a whole paragraph.
That's
right
all we do.
That's right.
I did a commercial the other day with Russ Martin.
Yeah.
And he said, so what do you want to talk, or what's up today? And I was like, what's up? Okay. For a minute long. I spent $500 for 1 minute on customer service saying what's up back and forth with Russ Martin, the DJ. You know, you teach people the historical reasons for differences between men and women. Can you share some of those with our listeners?
Well, that is what I was saying about cavemen and women, that this is built into our DNA, and the book Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus is probably one of the best sellers of the entire history of literature for a reason. It's helpful to know when you're struggling with the communication with either your brother, spouse, husband, or male colleague. Why can't I get across to this guy? I mean, I really love Roger, but we can't seem to work on a project together. And a lot of it comes to the fact that men would rather use fewer words.
Did you see the story the other day about Marissa Mayer?
No, share that with me.
Do you know who Marissa Mayer is? That lady took so much heat. Marissa Mayer made $47 million last year.
Nice.
Pretty successful woman, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I'd say 47 million is good.
She's the CEO of a company, little company, Yahoo. She took grief the other day because she overslept for a meeting. And this was on every major network out there, that the CEO of a company oversleeps. And now she's a powerful woman. She does all these things. And what is, you know, perception is everything when it comes to running a company. You see women that run companies, and you already have enough issues running powerful companies like a company called Yahoo. Why are they beating her up over something like this? And what does she do to go out and fix that issue?
I am not a media expert. This is media just being vicious because they have 24/7 every day to fill with gobbledygook. And it's funny because we were just joking about the fact that when we grew up, everybody watched the news for a half an hour and then turned on Dick Van Dyke or whatever. And it wasn't this constant babbling where people are in factions. And if you're a woman in a high power position like that, the media is going to go after you whether you're a man or a woman.
And they're just going to take, there's no prisoners. The same thing happens, though, in the workplace. Because no matter if it's my workplace and all that, when you're dealing with the communications experts and all that, so many women and so many men backstab other people to get a different job.
well, that's competitiveness and jealousy, which is, if you want to get into the psychological stuff, that's a whole other conversation.
But how do you deal with some of that in your office when you're dealing with that? Because it can affect the customers on the outside because people want to one up the other people in the inside. What advice would you give to people within that area for the customer service area of how it can hurt your clients?
A lot of companies expect somebody that they hire to be fully grown and in the right way for that company the minute they walk in the door. I'm a trainer, and the lack of training about basics, I think you need to train the obvious at your corporation, because when I join your company, I don't know what the obvious is. So while I'm trying to figure out what are the rules, I'm alienating people left and right. So in the first 3 months, I've already got a reputation for being difficult to work with because I didn't know what was going on. When you have internal strife in a customer service environment, it absolutely reflects on the way they behave toward the customers. It's important to train people and to do classes on men and women communicating, why somebody gets on the phone and is yelling at you because they're upset because we made a mistake or they think we made a mistake. You can't bring somebody in and say, here's your headset, here's your phone, there's the computer, go, and expect them to handle all these customer service issues on top of the dynamics of a company. People need training, and most corporations, when they want to save money, training is the first thing to go.
Who would be a good corporation, would you say, that would be fantastic at training?
Starbucks. I know Starbucks only because my stepdaughter works there, is a loyal employee, says I'll never work for anybody else again, and from the minute she was hired was in love with the company. How do you get somebody to love you so fast? It's the way they treat you.
Making 11 or 12 bucks an hour.
It's not just that. It's health insurance even when you're part-time. It's treating people like they're important. It's unbelievable. Now, not all Starbucks are created equal. She has worked at more than one location. She's at a location where she's super happy. The dynamics of the team is good. And they've had different managers, but the barista team has stayed very solid. They're in a great neighborhood where they have more adult clientele than children, because she was at the one near the high school. Totally didn't tolerate that too well. Those things matter.
But Starbucks is a great company. There's a reason why they're a powerful organization throughout the world. And when we come back with more of the show, we'll talk about the book. We'll talk about the launch tomorrow. Also, we'll get the insight about companies. In our business, it's so much in customer service, in the lending business, closing dates, hitting these closing dates. When things don't happen that go right and all that. And I want to hit on some of the credit card companies, because everybody seems to have a credit card. What some of these customer service areas at these credit card companies can do better. Because I'll give you a perfect example of great customer service. OnStar. The other night I need directions. I click in OnStar. Phenomenal. Right. Download. Everything's there. The other night I have a light come on. Click OnStar. Didn't know what the light was. I hit a little switch by accident, and it pulled it into towing mode. And OnStar's been there the last couple times. Excellent customer service. We'll talk about more excellent and bad customer service when we come back with the show. 1-800-EXPRESS is our number. You can email us during the show, rodney@rodneyradio.com. Our very special guest, Gail Goodman, and we'll be talking with Gail more when we come back.
You're listening to the Rodney Anderson Radio Show, right here on 1190 AM.
All right, we're back, and Gail Goodman, our customer service expert. She's fantastic, from New York. We'll talk about the book launch. She's got a book. She's one of 26 women at the event. We'll be talking about that a little bit more here in just a few moments. Off the air a few moments ago, we're talking about the mortgage lending world that we live in. Most people aren't aware, and you were talking about customer service of you were in the lending business for a while.
Yeah.
Give your perspective of the lending business and what people expect.
The problem is that homeowners expect buying a house to be as simple as buying a coat. And having been on the mortgage side of it and knowing how hard we worked to get all the moving parts to coordinate, it was hairy because sometimes things just don't go right. I mean, it could be the last minute, the closing can't happen, and the homeowner has like moving trucks and kids and things, organized, and then something changes, or you go through the walkthrough and suddenly an appliance that was part of the inclusion is not working, or there's mold, or there's a million things that can go wrong. But there's more moving parts than people realize behind the scenes, but the mortgage lender is the face of all of that activity.
Yeah, and people just call it around, what's your rate?
Yes.
They don't really realize when it comes to the customer service level that there are so many moving pieces when it comes to a mortgage, because there's a difference. My processors are 25 feet down the hall. My underwriter's 25 feet down the hall. My closing documents are 25 feet down the hall. Don't you think in customer service, especially in the lending business, it works a lot different when everything is centralized and some bank has to send something to Iowa?
Oh, I think it would, having bought several houses, and I use the same person for a reason for 8 of the mortgages I've had. It's hard for people to know what happens if you haven't been behind the scenes. They really don't know. And I know that when people who are young are shopping, their parents are giving them advice, and they may be giving them advice that's helpful or not helpful, but they will say, you know, if you can get it for 1/4 of a point less over the life of the loan, it'll be blah, blah, blah. The problem is you may be paying 1/4 of a point less, but it's not going to happen because you can't execute the mortgage. They don't understand that.
I'm getting Gail in here and just have her sit there with the clients on the phone.
just break it down to them.
I'll call it.
I'll tell you what. When you come back to Dallas, we're going to hire you for training. Because I would hire you for you're hired by major corporations throughout the U.S., throughout the world, and all that. Names, let's talk about credit card companies for a second. Some of these companies are fantastic. Some of them are horrific. Do you know anybody that's fantastic?
I think American Express is fantastic, but for every person that says they're fantastic, somebody has a hellish story to tell that'll oppose it. My experience of American Express is everybody says the customer's always right, but they assume that your story is right until proven otherwise, whereas some customer service people at other credit card companies, they say, well, we'll put it into investigation. So they're neutral. And other credit card companies don't necessarily buy what you say when you're the customer and the credit card holder no matter what. Those 3 different segments make a very big difference when you're the customer. I feel having an American Express card is a valuable addition to my credit card repertoire.
Then and you have to look at that. What's the service levels? Because for every good area out there, there's companies. We don't want to talk bad about companies, but you were sharing off the air a little bit about a company that was really bad, and there's so many of them out there. We see these. We see it through the credit bureaus. The credit bureaus have been under a lot of heat. Experian, TransUnion, Equifax. You got attorney generals suing these people out there because of the bad areas of flaws. And how is it when a credit bureau says we're 95% accurate?
What if you're in the other 5%? It happened to me. There's more than one Gail Goodman in America. In fact, I am Gail B. Goodman. My company is Consultel, and there's a Gail F. Goodman who owns Constant Contact, another great, fine company. And people mix us up all the time. Well, one time in my credit report, I realized it was wrong. They had mixed me up with another Gail Goodman in my community. It took me forever to prove I am this Gail Goodman, these do not belong to me. It was a nightmare. And I knew that if in that period of time when I was fighting with them, if I wanted to buy a house, it was ruining my credit. If I wanted to buy a car, everything that is related to the rate that you're allowed to have has to do with that credit report. And these guys are like, well, there's 5% of the people that are going to get messed up. Well, when you're in that 5%, it's 100% of the people that just got messed up.
Yeah, and you're so right on that. The event that you're having in Dallas and all that. Talk about where it's at. What everybody's going to be talking about. 26 women minus one who had a baby and all that. So you got 25 women that are going to be there. Talk about this. How long will you be speaking? People can get tickets still to the event, and it's an all-day event.
Yes, we're having an event, and if you go to purewealthbook.com, I only recommend that you get your ticket today because prepaid tickets are going to get a free book, and they're going to get a DVD of the presentations. What we're going to be doing is each of the women is going to be giving a 12-minute talk, so it'll be a little bit like the concept of TED Talks. It's going to be an all-day affair. $49 gets you the book, the DVD, which is worth $100, and lunch. We're at the Las Colinas Country Club in Irving, Texas. It's a mouthful. And it's an all-day event, and we're excited because this is the launch of our beautiful book.
12 minutes. We're going to practice your 12 minutes.
No, we're not. I was telling my friend, another author who was with me, that we both are struggling with 12 minutes. I either go 50 seconds over or I'm 3 minutes under, and I'm like, you know what? If I do it for 9.5 minutes, it's better than 12
Yeah,
and
if
a
you
half.
do it for 9.5 minutes, you do this. Does anybody have any questions? It's time for Q&A. You got 2.5 minutes for Q&A. I have time for one question.
Or just Q?
Well, just let everybody eat lunch for a few minutes longer.
Yeah.
It's really hard to do 12 minutes. I'm a professional speaker. I can do an hour. I can do a day. I can do 3 hours. 12 minutes is... But that's what we want to share a little bit about each of the subjects, because if you just go through the titles of each of the chapters, it's really an amazing group of women.
And one of them's you.
Well, yeah.
I do have another question for you. Let's talk about Facebook in the workplace and customer service and everything. If people have bad experiences out there, they post it all over Facebook. But if they have good experiences out there, they post it on Facebook. Is Facebook... what's your feeling on Facebook when it comes to customer service?
I think that the internet, and not just Facebook, can really destroy a company's image, because one unhappy person who's really an avid poster can ruin your business after multiple years of doing great. It's a problem because angry people have the loudest and the most diligent voices, and those of us that are satisfied have a tendency to not realize how important it is to write nice things. I went to San Francisco with my childhood friend, and we had a girls' vacation. We were in a great place, the Prescott Hotel in Union Square in San Francisco. And what we did is we made sure, I made a point of posting on TripAdvisor that we had a fabulous experience, because there had been a couple of postings that were very negative, and we were like, who were these people? This is a great hotel. And I said, I'm going to make sure that I post, because too many people are more quick to complain.
Well, and I'll tell you what, I came to New York one time. Normally I stayed when I was on Fox Business and co-hosting shows up there, I would always stay at the same little hotel at 51st and 7th. It's called the Michelangelo. Love that hotel. And so one time I'm like, I'm going to stay at this really cool hotel. So I'm not the one that reads all the reviews, but I went on to Yelp. And I read the reviews, and I thought it was a cool place, so I wanted to stay there. All of a sudden, when you're sitting there, they said, it's loud. It's loud. It's loud. The hotel rooms are great. Great place, but the rooms are loud. I went in there, and I sat there, and about 1 o'clock in the morning, I woke up. It was so loud. It was unbelievable. I have never seen anything like it.
You don't know who to believe. Everybody cancels each other out. I went to a great hotel that had some bad reviews, and it canceled out the one that I wrote that was great. You don't really know what to do. When I buy a car, I look at the reviews. I try to see what percentage are more positive than negative. But again, the complainers are in the majority on the internet. That's the problem.
Then the thing about the complaints, can you look at the complaints and read the context of it and kind of see if they're just bitching about something, or if they have legitimate reasons for being upset?
Sometimes a negative review is legitimate because of the way it's written. It doesn't seem like somebody's just doing a rant. And that's what I look for, too. But you have to know how to read them.
Right.
You have to spend time reading them. I mean, I was helping my sister buy a car. We read every review of her car that she ended up buying and the one she was thinking of for that very reason. It's hard because I feel that the loudest and meanest and the most complaining people, they're typing every day. Maybe they're unemployed because nobody wants to hire them.
Maybe. I think the legitimate ones have facts, and the complainers just complain about stuff.
They're global instead of specific in the way they complain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I would hire you for customer service. Every company out there should hire you for customer service because you're absolutely fantastic. How do people get a hold of you, Gail?
Well, the easiest way to reach me is on my website, which is phoneteacher.com, because I teach people how to be better on the phone, get their point across, take into consideration the differences between the genders, and also customer service.
Gail, you've been fantastic. I wish you best. Tomorrow on the book, Las Colinas Country Club. Las Colinas Country Club. Her and the ladies will be there all day long. For more information, you can just call us, 1-800-EXPRESS, and we'll direct you to the website. Or the website again.
The book website is purewealthbook.com.
purewealthbook.com. And we appreciate Gail. Thanks, Gail. When we come back, we'll be taking more of your phone calls. Today's show is all about service and customer service. Have you had a good experience? Have you had a bad experience? 1-800-EXPRESS is our number. We'll be taking your email questions, Rodney at RodneyRadio.com, when we return with more of the show.